Hippocrates was born in 460 BC on the island of Kos. He was the son of a doctor. He studied medicine and traveled from town to town practicing the art of medicine. Hippocrates drove out the plague from Athens by lighting fires in the streets. He established medical schools and wrote several books and case histories. Hippocrates taught his pupils to examine patients attentively and offer quick help. He rejected superstition, arguing diseases have natural causes and treatments. He treated diseases through exercise, massage, diet, and suitable medicine. Hippocrates is often called the father of medicine and inspired the Hippocratic Oath. The Hippocratic Oath includes many of his basic thoughts and principles. Thanks for watching.
Picture this. You're sick in ancient Greece, centuries before anyone even knew what a heart really did. Instead of heading to a hospital, you'd probably turn to a temple, hoping the gods might throw you a bone. It was a wild time for medicine, wasn't it?
It really was. Illness was mostly seen as a kind of punishment from the gods, a cosmic timeout for something you may or may not have done. Priests doubled as healers, and rituals mattered more than remedies. Even epilepsy was called the sacred disease, supposedly a curse from above.
And yet, right amid the olive groves and limestone cliffs of an island called Kos, a baby is born who's about to flip the script. Hippocrates enters the scene, and the whole idea of what causes disease starts to shift.
Exactly. And what's fascinating is that his family already belonged to a kind of medical dynasty. They claimed descent from Asclepius, the legendary god of healing. But Hippocrates didn't just inherit old beliefs. He expanded his worldview, blending tradition with a thirst for reason.
That blending is such a turning point. He could have just stuck with what the priest did, but instead he gets curious, asking not, which god did I anger? But what's actually happening in the body? You know, the more you dig, the more mysterious Hippocrates gets. There aren't any selfies from 460 BCE, and historians can't even agree which texts he really wrote. Do you think we'll ever know the real man behind the legend?
Honestly, probably not. What we have is this foggy outline, a reputation built up over centuries by students, rivals, and writers like Plato, and especially Galen, who championed Hippocrates as almost a medical saint. Sometimes I wonder if he became more of a symbol than a single person.
That's a great point. It's almost as if his identity got woven together from the hopes and needs of generations of doctors. Whether he was one genius or the face of a movement, the ideas associated with his name changed medicine forever.
What stands out to me is how portable his reputation was. Stories say Hippocrates traveled around Greece, maybe even helping fight plagues by lighting fires to cleanse the air. Whether those tales are true or not, they show how his approach observation, hands-on care, was meant to travel, not just sit in one temple.
That actually reminds me the real treasure trove we have isn't Hippocrates himself, but the Hippocratic Corpus. This collection of about 70 texts is where we really see ancient medicine shift from ritual to reason. How did these writings change the game?
These texts are fascinating because they capture the day-to-day reality of being a healer. You get everything from clinical case notes like, literally, descriptions of a patient's urine and sleep to deep philosophical debates about what causes disease. They even tracked symptoms over time, which was groundbreaking.
And that was such a leap. Instead of just praying for miracles, doctors became observers, almost like detectives. They started seeing health as a state of balance, and illness as something natural that could be studied, not a punishment to be feared.
True, although some of their theories like the four humors missed the mark, the core idea stuck. The body is a system, and good medicine comes down to careful observation and helping nature along. It was less about magic, more about methodical care.
And what's wild is how much humility comes through in those writings. There's a real sense of, we don't know everything, so let's watch, record, and learn. That patient-centered approach still feels fresh today. Speaking of things that still echo today, let's talk about the Hippocratic Oath. I mean, doctors still recite it, though, often in modernized forms. But what did the original oath really say? And why has it lasted so long?
The oath is fascinating because it's both solemn and surprisingly practical. It swore by the gods, yes, but at its heart were core promises: honor your teachers, help the sick, do no harm, and keep patient secrets. Even today, those are medicine's ethical anchors.
And it's not just about the rules, right? It's about the spirit, a kind of moral backbone. Even in an age of gene editing and AI, there's this need for a reminder. Beneath all the tech, you're caring for a person, not just a diagnosis.
Absolutely, though. It's interesting how the oath has evolved. The original left out things we now find crucial, like consent or equity. But the ritual itself, pausing to promise to do right by your patients, still shapes every new generation of physicians.
Funny how a voice from an island in ancient Greece still echoes in medical schools and hospitals around the world. Why do you think Hippocrates' legacy stuck, even as medicine has changed almost beyond recognition?
I think it's because his approach, observation, honesty, care remains timeless. His ideas crossed borders, languages, and religions. The Islamic Golden Age preserved and critiqued him. The Renaissance rediscovered him. Modern medicine still invokes his name at white coat ceremonies.
But there are critics, too. The original oath didn't even mention women or social justice. And the humoral theory is, well, ancient history. Yet somehow, the basic values outlast the flaws.
Exactly. Hippocrates is almost like a mirror. Each era reinterprets him for its own needs. At the core, his legacy is about remaining curious and compassionate, no matter what tools or technologies we have. That's something medicine and honestly all of us can still learn from.
It's humbling, isn't it? Whether you're holding a scroll or a smartphone, the heart of healing hasn't really changed. Listen, observe, and care. Hippocrates may be shrouded in myth, but his wisdom keeps finding new ways to matter.
You know, it's kind of wild to think about how Hippocrates, born in 460 BC on Kos, laid the groundwork for so much of what we do in medicine today.
Absolutely.
Coming from a family of doctors, he had that natural pull into the healing arts from the start.
Right, and what's fascinating is that he traveled from town to town practicing medicine almost like he was on a mission, you know?
Exactly. And, his reputation wasn't just built on treating patients. It was also about how he revolutionized the approach. I mean, think about it. He didn't let superstitions dictate his practice.
Yeah, no kidding.
He insisted that diseases had natural causes rather than being some sort of divine punishment.
That really changed the whole mindset, didn't it? It's like he freed medicine from those old mystical chains.
Absolutely, yep. And his methods, exercise, massage, saltwater baths, tailored diets, and the right kinds of medicines, were, really innovative for his time. It goes to show that practical, observational approaches were key even back then.
Right. And speaking of observation, he had a unique talent for recording details. All those case histories he wrote. It's impressive. It's almost like he was keeping the very first medical records.
True. Yeah, and you know, he was not just practicing medicine, he was teaching it as well, setting up schools in Athens and other towns. This was a major contribution, creating a space where medical knowledge could be passed down properly.
Sure, but isn't it interesting how some of these details, like the story where he supposedly drove out the plague from Athens by lighting fires in the city streets, almost sound legendary?
They do take on a mythical quality, but there's a method behind that method. Right. I mean, lighting fires to drive out the plague might sound dramatic, but it shows his innovative approach. It's like, his techniques were both bold and, unorthodox for that era.
That's true, but I sometimes wonder if that tactic was as effective as the legends say. I mean, could, such a method realistically have fended off a plague?
Well, it's hard to say definitively, but it certainly spoke to his willingness to think outside the box. Absolutely. And by stepping away from attributing illness to the gods, he not only freed medicine from superstition, but he also set the stage for a more scientific, pragmatic approach.
Yeah, that was a huge
The idea
shift.
that every disease was a natural process with its own causes was groundbreaking.
Speaking of groundbreaking, his contributions to medical terminology are remarkable too. Terms like chronic, crisis, relapse, and convalescence, these are still with us today.
Right you are. It's like his observations and descriptions have stood the test of time, and they continue to influence how we talk about diseases even now.
It's quite incredible. And then there's his surgical skills. I mean, who would have thought that back in his day they were setting fractures and even trephining skulls, all while balancing so many different treatments?
Yeah, it's like, imagine being so skilled in surgery and using a variety of drugs when most folks were leaning heavily on superstition. He really advanced medicine as both an art and a science.
I've always admired how he viewed medicine as a holistic discipline. Not only did he focus on the body, but he was also such a dedicated teacher, cementing that practice with an ethical code.
Speaking of ethics, his legacy lives on with the Hippocratic Oath, which, let's be honest, has become synonymous with medical professionalism. It's like that oath is a promise to maintain the highest standards in patient care even today.
Absolutely, it's almost sacred in modern medicine. You know, it's interesting how his oath is both a moral and practical document. It's a set of promises or commitments that still guides doctors, right?
Right, exactly. And his emphasis on careful patient examination and swift, appropriate care was truly like ahead of its time. Overall, he molded medicine into not just a field, but a career and a calling.
It really makes you wonder about the evolution from these early practices to our current high-tech approaches, doesn't it? I mean, his work was based on meticulous observation without modern tools.
Yeah, truly impressive. Exactly, and it's like, his practice was built on a simple but powerful idea that nature has its own course and that disease is just a part of a natural process, not some kind of punitive act by the gods.
Right on. But here's a thought. I've been wondering if, in emphasizing natural causes, did he possibly overlook some factors that we now know are crucial, like social or environmental aspects of disease
I
transmission?
see your point, but given his era, his focus was on what he could observe firsthand. True, while he may not have grasped all the complexities we now understand, his insistence on natural causality definitely paved the way for the scientific method in medicine. It's like a stepping stone, you know?
Yeah, that's a fair take. And it's interesting, too, that his treatment methods, like encouraging exercise, massage, and dietary changes, are still seen as valid complementary approaches. In a way, it's his legacy living on in our modern holistic treatments.
Exactly. It's, like he understood that medicine has to work with the body, not just against symptoms. His rituals, like saltwater baths and massage, were early steps towards what we now see as physical therapy and lifestyle medicine.
Yeah, absolutely.
And don't forget his prowess as a writer. His books and case histories weren't just medical texts. They were, foundational documents that showcased a methodical approach to really understanding and documenting
Yep,
disease.
that's a key point. There's also that remarkable balance he struck between treating patients and educating the next generation of doctors. The schools he established in Athens and elsewhere were, well, revolutionary for the time.
Exactly. It truly was a dual mission, practical care and a legacy of knowledge. It's like he was laying the cornerstone for modern medical education.
No doubt about it. And if we zoom out for a minute, the broader impact is huge. His ideas still influence medical ethics, patient care approaches, and even the language we use to describe illnesses.
Right. His contributions are just so foundational that even now doctors around the world, when they recite the Hippocratic Oath, are tapping into his ancient wisdom. It's kind of poetic, really, linking millennia of medical thought in such a clear lineage.
Yeah, it's pretty poetic. You know, there's an analogy here. It's like he was the original architect who drew the blueprint for a structure that's still being expanded on today. His observations, treatments, and ethical codes remain the pillars of modern medicine.
Exactly. And, his challenge to superstitious thinking was more than just a medical reform. It was a cultural shift. It required a lot of courage to throw out the old ways and advocate for experience-based medicine.
Yeah, that takes real guts. In a way, his life reminds us of the importance of questioning established norms and always pushing for evidence and reason, doesn't it?
Definitely, and that mindset is, still so relevant today. Whether we're talking about medical ethics or the importance of patient-centered care, Hippocrates set a precedent that echoes all the way through history.
Absolutely echoing. And it's kind of mind-blowing to think that more than 2 millennia later, his influence can still be seen in how medicine is practiced, how doctors are trained, and even in the trust patients place in the medical profession.
Exactly, and it's like every time a doctor recites that oath, they're, honoring a legacy that's as practical as it is ethical. His idea that we treat disease with a blend of art, science, and empathy is timeless.
Truly timeless. And while we've come a long way with technology and research, the core principle of careful observation, critical thinking, and compassionate care hasn't changed. It's a testament to his forward thinking.
For sure. Even if some of his methods might seem rudimentary now, the underlying philosophy of patient care, education, and clinical observation remains the same. It's like, his spirit keeps guiding the path of medicine.
Right, his spirit really does. It truly is amazing how one man's approach to medicine can still inform modern practices. Every time we examine a patient or design a treatment plan, there's a bit of Hippocrates in there, reminding us to look for natural causes and to treat with both a scientific mind and a caring heart.
Yeah, exactly. And as we wrap up, it's clear that his teachings, his commitment to evidence over superstition, and his dedication to ethics marked a turning point that not only elevated medicine, but also made it a noble calling.
Definitely a noble calling.